to my channel. In this video, I am going to talk about the 2022 horoscope for the 10th sign in the zodiac, which is Capricorn. So if you are Capricorn Moon sign or if you are a Capricorn Ascendant, then watch this video to see what is in store for you next year. We don't really focus on the sun sign because it is very generic in nature. When we do annual horoscope predictions, we look at four major planets: Jupiter, Saturn, Rahu, and Ketu. So let's see what is going on next year. Rahu is currently in your 5th house in the sign of Taurus. However, it will move to your 4th house in April next year in the sign of Aries. Ketu is currently in your 11th house in the sign of Scorpio, and it will move to the 10th house in Libra from April next year. Saturn is currently on your ascendant or on the 1st house, the body, and it will move to the 2nd house, which is its own house, Aquarius, also known as its Mool Trikona sign. And then it will move backwards and come back to Capricorn in July and stay there for the rest of the year. Finally, Jupiter will enter its own 3rd house from April next year in the sign of Pisces and will stay there for the rest of the year. So these are the major transits happening. So if we start off with the career, it's going to be a good year for the Capricorn people because the 10th house of career is going to be unafflicted next year. And Saturn will be aspecting for the most part the 10th house, and Saturn's vision gets exalted because Saturn is very good friends with the owner of the 7th sign, which is Libra. Venus and Saturn are considered very good friends. So if you keep working hard and stay determined in your job, you will reach the top because Saturn is going to be very favorable for you next year. In terms of love, it's going to be great when Rahu moves to the 4th house. So the first 3 months are going to be somewhat delusional in terms of love matters because Rahu loves to put delusion in people's minds. But when Rahu leaves this 5th house of love and romance and enters the 4th house in April, things will be very bright in terms of love and love relationships. So from April next year, you can expect some spark to click in terms of love matters. For marriage, it is going to be a fairly good year because Saturn will be aspecting the 7th house of marriage, and Saturn is all about stability. Even though this is not a good sign for Saturn, this chart is of Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn itself. No planet tries to harm its own sign. So Saturn will be somewhat neutral right here. It will try to establish stability. And Jupiter, when it moves to the 3rd house in April, it will aspect the 7th house, and that aspect will get exalted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With the 5th aspect, Jupiter will protect the house of marriage. So after April especially, there is going to be a very harmonious and smooth relationship for married couples. In terms of business, again, it's going to be a very good year when Jupiter transits the 3rd house and aspects the 7th house of business. The aspect is going to get exalted, and that is going to help you in terms of business relationships and making better business decisions after the month of April. In terms of wealth, it is going to be a fairly good year as well because again, Jupiter is going to aspect the 11th house of gains when it transits Pisces next year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So when Ketu leaves this house in April and Jupiter transits the 11th house of gains and desires and wish fulfillment, there's definitely going to be a steady income flow coming your way. So save that money for a rainy day. Talking about education, again, the first 3 months are going to be somewhat troublesome when Rahu is still in the 5th house of education. But once Rahu leaves that in April, things are going to be bright in terms of education, and you can study hard and achieve good results in any exams that you might take. In terms of your children, again, the first 3 months are going to be somewhat strained. Your relationship with your children might be there might be a bit of miscommunication. But after Rahu leaves in April, things will again be more smooth and the relationship will again solidify with your children after April. So things are looking bright with that relationship right there. And in the health term matters, again, it's going to be a great year because the 6th, 8th, and 12th houses, which are related to accidents, diseases, illness, there's no major afflictions there. So, and also Saturn will be for the most part in its own sign on the body, on the ascendant, and Saturn will protect because Saturn does very well for the place or the house it sits in, and it will definitely protect the Capricorn people in terms of health related matters. So overall, this next year is looking very good, and especially after April, things are going to start moving in a very positive direction. So have hope. And I know the Capricorn people are also running the Sade Sati of Saturn, which is a very tough time. But April, May, June, when Saturn transits to the 2nd house of Aquarius, the 3rd and final phase of Sade Sati will start. So when the Lord of the wealth house sits in the wealth house, there can be a lot of relief and somewhat a better income flow can be expected. So don't lose hope, keep up the high spirits, and things are looking bright for you, my Capricorn friends. Take care and stay connected.